John Lentz here from Appalachian DIY, and today we're going to be making an anvil out of railroad track. The first thing we need to do is cut this thing down to size, but we need to know how big we want to make it. If you're going to be making little trinkets, jewelry, or anything like that, you don't need a big piece of rail. Anything from 6 to 8 inches will do for that. If you're into making knives or tooling, that's what I'm going to be doing. So we're going to cut this to an 18-inch piece. That's going to give us a 12-inch face or working area, plus a 6-inch horn. I think that's about the best measurement you can get. If you go any larger or longer than that, you're really not benefiting anything. The top of this rail is pretty narrow, so by going longer, you're not really gaining anything. Now there are 3 main ways to cut this up, and the first being an angle grinder. A lot of you guys have them. It is pretty difficult. I see a lot of guys using a 4-inch angle grinder, and when they get up underneath this top rail, it's kind of hard to get into there. I would recommend an 8-inch grinder. That's going to be a lot easier for you. The next way is either oxyacetylene or oxypropane. I've already done that. I did it with a number 3 tip, and that was really pushing it. I would recommend probably a 4 or a 5, but again, you can do it with a 3, but that is very minimum. The way we're going to be doing it today is we're going to throw this onto the horizontal bandsaw. Gives you a nice finish on the edge, it's nice and clean, and I like it a lot. So we'll go throw it on the Harbor Freight bandsaw, and I'll show you how to cut it up. This is a 4x6 inch horizontal bandsaw from Harbor Freight, and that's what we're going to be using to cut up this rail. Now we're going to need to make 2 cuts on this, reason being the throat on this is not deep enough to make 1 pass on this rail. So the easiest and best way I found to cut this up is to cut the bottom side first. That's going to get us down to, through the webbing and down to about the bottom of the main rail. Then we're going to have to flip it over. We're going to line up our kerf mark with our blade and make our second cut. If you do it opposite, and you're going to wind up with the kerf mark underneath this big flange, and eyeing it up is going to be a lot more difficult. So if you really want a nice edge, I recommend to cut the bottom first, flip it over, and make your second cut. Once the saw bottoms out, it's time to flip the rail and make our second cut. What we need to do before we make our second cut is line up our blade with our kerf mark. What I usually do is just eyeball this, and that turns out really good. Okay, we have our piece off the bandsaw. You can see right here where we have the 2 cuts came together. We have just a little bit of an edge, but for the most part it's all smooth. That's why I really like using the bandsaw. It gives you a really nice finish. Now, what we're going to be doing is cutting this up and actually making this look like an anvil. What we're going to do is we're going to use an oxypropane torch and profile this to make it look like an anvil. The hardest part though is going to be the horn itself. What we're going to do is we're going to take torch and we're going to skim at a hard angle and take some of this material off to kind of cut out the horn. The reason being, grinding takes absolutely forever, so the more material that we can take away, the more time we're going to save ourselves. So we're going to throw this up on the sawhorses and get to cutting. Okay, we're finally done with grinding. It looks pretty good. There is one thing. I got a little steep with the torch and it scarred a little bit, but overall it does look good and it's going to function great. This is a time-consuming project, especially if you don't have the proper tools or even the materials. So from time to time I will be making these, so check out my Facebook and website as I'll have them on there for you guys to purchase. This is going to be part of a series. I'm hoping to get into some more blacksmithing, so I will be making a forge yet and also getting into some knife making and some tooling, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time.